Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. We're all here, we're all talking football. What more could you possibly want? We've got games to go through, we've got games to preview. There's some moves as well. Look forward to that. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. That's the big one. Share the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Oh, shit. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Whilst I just have to readjust my camera as I almost shut down my laptop. Welcome on in to another week of us here at the CookieCast Podcast Network, bringing you the football podcast, everything Middlesbrough, Hull and Nottingham Forest based. Obviously, for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm joined by the full triumvirate of people this week, Mrs. Cook, Moore and Woodmansey. How are we this week, gentlemen? All good?
Good.
Some of us obviously better than others. We'll jump straight in. Week 20 was FA Cup week and brought with it 3 games for our clubs and then a 1 bonus fixture at the end in the league. But we have to start at the Riverside, sadly, where Middlesbrough took on Blackburn Rovers. I don't know if I covered this in last week's podcast, but wasn't looking forward to this game because for some reason Blackburn have obviously done some sort of deal with the devil in which it's impossible for them to lose at the Riverside. And they absolutely did not fail to complete that mission, leaving with a 1-0 win and a place in the 4th round of the Cup. Looked like it was a bit of a tame first half. The only thing of note that I've got down was that Blackburn hit the bar. I'm pretty sure they weren't the only people in the stadium that hit the bar. Let's be honest, this game was not great. Fair few changes from Borough. They gave a first start of the season to, well, in the Cup certainly, to Law McCabe, young lad who plays through the centre of the park. A couple of other changes here and there. Then going into the second half, just before opening the scoring, Andreas Weimann missed possibly one of the worst chances I've ever seen. Tom Glover tried to kick the ball out from his own area and just proceeded to boot it straight into Weimann, who took the ball, tried to go round the goalkeeper, and then as the goalkeeper was trying to get back in on him, managed to lift the ball completely over the empty goal, where it would have been a lot easier just to roll it into the net to make it 1-0. Not great from 4 yards out. But he made amends for it on the 70th minute. Ball made its way down the left-hand side for Blackburn. The ball came in from the left-hand sof Matt Clark managed to clear it, but only managed to get it to sort of around the penalty spot. One of those ones where it goes into almost no man's land, and you just praying that it's one of your guys that gets to it first. And sadly, it was not. It was Weimann who got there first, slammed home from about 12 yards out. I think both teams had a couple more chances after this to try and get another goal, but sadly wasn't to be. Blackburn get the win, as we all thought they would. Absolutely not. And like I say, progressed to the 4th round, where I believe they got a draw at home to Wolves. I think was the draw. Not particularly arsed. We're not going to win the cup. Might as well go out in the 3rd round and concentrate on the league, which will also no doubt fuck up, because that's the way it is for the Borough these days. Predictions wise, surprise, surprise, no one had a Blackburn win. Only 2 of us predicted a Blackburn goal. That was me in a 1-1 draw with Borough winning on penalties, and neither of those goal scorers were Weimann. Hackney and Cantwell. Andy also had a 2-1 Middlesbrough win. Latelath, Bergzog and Danny Bart to score for Blackburn. Stuart and Matt both had 1-0 wins. For the Borough, Stu with McGree, Matt with Latte Lat. So it's a whopping 0 points across the board in that first game. Boo. Our second game, also played on Saturday, was at the City Ground as Nottingham Forest took on Luton Town. And it was a bit more positive in Nottinghamshire, was it, Mr. Moore?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of 11 changes to the team, so full change from top to bottom. Big Tyrell getting a run out. And yeah, we kind of Luton are having a difficult season, but we kind of put them to bed pretty easily. First off, Ryan Yates popped up with a nice header, about kind of penalty spot, level with the penalty spot. Kind of diving header, stooping header. Kind of nice header anyway. 1-0. And then kind of midway through the second half, kind of the good counter-attack from Forest. And I think Jota squared it across for Souza just to knock it in the back of the net. And yeah, 2-0 through to the fourth round where we've got an away game at Exeter. Don't know if it'll be on telly. Probably will be because they'll think there might be a chance of a upset or something like that. I mean, Forest will probably put the same 11 out if there's no injuries. But yeah, decent result. So it's nice to be in the cup, but then also you're kind of conscious of the fact that, again, like said, it seems to be passed around 4 teams now. I don't think Forest are going to be one of the 4 teams.
Yeah. Definitely one of those sort of things where everyone likes a cup run, but unless you are going to win it, what's the point? But
yeah,
tricky. For the first time ever, everyone had the same result as this. We just had very different goal scorers, and everyone had gone for a 2-0 Nottingham Forest win. So everyone got 2 points for the correct score. I had a Awonyi with 2, no points there. Stuart had a Awonyi and Yates, so it does get himself a bonus point for the goal scorer. Matt had a Awonyi and Jota, and Andy had Wood and Ilanga. So just Stu getting the bonus point there for Mr. Shithouse himself, notching the first goal. Our third game took us to Sunday, and even though it was taking place at the MKM Stadium, Mr. Woodmansey was not in attendance for this one. I believe this was your voting with your feet, and you were saying enough's enough. I'm not watching any games against these South Yorkshire bastards anymore. Is that correct?
I mean, those weren't my exact words. I couldn't sit in my own seat for this game, as the north and south stand were both closed because people were flocking in their droves to not watch this game, and they only occupied 2 of the stands. They were hammering home, trying to get people to go on hospitality on the cheap. We could maybe talk about the hospitality levels at Hull another time, but I didn't think it was particularly cheap for certain things. It was that traditional 12 o'clock on a Sunday slot, so I was like, that kind of screws the whole day up, and it's going to cost circa 50 to 60 quid probably for us all to go, and by the time you've eaten and drunk and stuff, so it was like, it just didn't really feel worth it. Also, add into the mix that Doncaster appear to be one of our bogey teams, so it's odd that Borough got one of theirs and we got one of ours in the same draw. Former manager Grant McCann returned to Hull to effectively dump Hull out of the FA Cup, which Hull have been knocked out of a cup competition twice in 2 seasons, so 1 per season, by Doncaster and Grant McCann, because it was the Carabao Cup last year. So it was like, yeah, not really massively enthused, and then the history did repeat itself. I did, however, listen to it on the radio. The game sounded dreadful. Hull were definitely the better team in the first half. Couldn't make any of the pressure count. It's almost like we've heard this song before. But Doncaster did hit the front on 51 minutes Molyneux robbed Giles of the ball, who finished beyond debuting goalkeeper Carl Rushworth, who's back from injury. City equalised with 10 minutes to go. Burstow hit the post, and Puerta smashed in the rebound for not only his first Hull City goal, but therefore his first goal in English football as well. So, they tried. They put a bit of effort in. They managed to get to extra time against a League Two side. And all that effort took them all the way to a penalty shootout. Cracking when it's not your team. But yeah, Rushworth saved the very first penalty that Doncaster took, and City went on to score 4 from 4. So Mason Burstow stepped up with a chance to win it, and he smashed it in to the stands. And ultimately, Alfie Jones then missed another in sudden death, and Harry Clifton scored the winner. There's 5 changes for City, but the starting lineup should have been more than enough to best League Two opposition. Very disappointing, but as Paul said about concentrating on the league, Hull really need to do that, but just for a very different reason to Middlesbrough. I'm pretty sure that, if this message was to ever get there, time to get your shit together, boys, because need to start picking up the league pace somewhat. But yeah, unfortunately, no Hull, no Borough, so just Forest flying the FA Cup flag at this point in time for the podcast.
Yes, indeed. From a cup perspective, we all have to throw our chips into the Forest bag, so to speak, for the rest of the season. So, yes, CookieCast podcast schlep down to Exeter, you say, at the end of January. I think we'll pass. Predictions-wise, no one had a draw on this one, so no one gets a point for the result, sadly. I went for a 3-2 Hull win. Joao Pedro, Burstow, and Bedia, who didn't even make it into the matchday squad.
He might be on his way. So.
I was never getting any points for that. Andy, ditto with his 2-1, Bedia and Burstow. Sharp was Andy's goal scorer for Doncaster, whereas my 2 goal scorers were Sharp and Molyneux. So I do get myself a bonus point for the goal scorer there. Matt had gone 2-1 to Hull as well. Burstow, Slater, and Sharp, so no points for Matt. Stu did go for a 1-0 Doncaster win, which I suppose technically is the correct result because Doncaster went through, but because it was a draw and penalties, I've not given him any points there. And sadly, Sharp didn't score either. So just me getting the bonus point for the Molyneux goal there. So point for me, no points for everyone else, which means that at this third game stage, myself and Stuart tied on 3 points. Matt and Andy lagging behind with just 2 points apiece from the first 3 games. And we finished the week by going back Trent side, where Nottingham Forest were taking on Boo Hiss, dirty, filthy Liverpool. Now, going into this, obviously, I don't think we've mentioned it on the podcast yet this season, but in the reverse fixture, Liverpool did, of course, lose to Nottingham Forest. I believe that Nottingham Forest are the only team to beat Liverpool this season, actually. Strange that. You would have thought would have mentioned it on the podcast before. But yes, I'll turn over to Mr. Moore to give us the rundown on how Forest versus Liverpool 2.
Well, with those 3 tasty points in our back pocket from Anfield in September, I think the Forest went into the game with a lot of confidence. I think this week has been like a big media correction. It's been like, we didn't talk about Forest enough before, so let's really talk a lot about Forest now, kind of thing. And you're kind of like, yeah, I think we've gone a little bit too far the other way. So yeah, I mean, kind of I listened to it on the radio, due to TNT Sports being £31 a month for very little. Was the gist I could get from what I looked at it. So I was like, yeah, I'm not paying £31 to effectively watch one game and then cancel it, so I didn't get charged for it twice. More months than what I was going to watch it. And I think the game followed a pattern of Liverpool had the ball a lot and did a lot of attacking, and Forest defended a lot. But 7 minutes in, Forest scored. Usual kind of thing with Forest, defending well, quick break, 2 quick passes, and it's funny because you watching the goal. There's an opportunity for I think Hudson-Odoi to play Wood through early, but he plays the shorter pass to Elanga. And I think that probably takes out more players and possibly takes Van Dijk out of the. So it's quite an intelligent pass from Hudson-Odoi that then led to a clever pass from Elanga that gave Wood probably more space to score. And it's quite a nice finish. I thought when I first saw it, it kind of like leathered it with the like laces of the boot, but actually kind of passed it inside foot into the back into the corner. So 1-0 to Forest. Lots of defending, lots and lots and lots of defending, as Clinton Morrison repeatedly said on the radio and told us how great Liverpool was, and Forest defending a lot, kind of thing. It was, and it kind of got to the, and then so it was going quite well. Forest were keeping the clean sheet. Sells was making lots of good saves, and it kind of got to the point in the match normally where Nuno makes his defensive change. About 60 minutes, he generally puts Morata on, and he goes to a back 3, 5 in midfield, and go from there. Or 4 or 5 in midfield, and go from there. Unfortunately, Slot beat into the punch in terms of defending, in terms of substitutions, and brought Tsimikas and Jota on. And unfortunately, 22 seconds later, they combined to score the equaliser. Goodness knows how the shortest man on the pitch managed to win the header to score the goal. The only thing I'd say is, and I know it's done everywhere, but the blocking the goalkeeper on the line for corners is getting a tad ridiculous now. Like in the past, it had gone from one thing where you couldn't touch the goalkeeper whatsoever, and that was daft. But now it's full on, like, I mean, to use a basketball term, boxing out. They kind of stand in front of them and kind of not put their arms around. They stand with their back to them, but then put their arms backwards, which is, considering natural position. That's not a natural position. There's not many people that I've seen in life that walk around with their arms at 45-degree angle going backwards, kind of thing. Like you used to do as a kid when you pretended you're like Superman holding your cape out or something like that type of thing. That's So that was my kind of gripe. But apparently after that, Murillo said to Sells, "Don't fucking do that again. Next time just shove him out the way. Don't fucking put up with that shit," kind of thing. And that's apparently a direct quote. Someone like read his lips, kind of thing. So obviously his English is coming on well. From then on, Forest did go into that defensive formation, brought on players to kind of do that defensive job, and like held out for the draw. But I think if someone would have said at the start of the season that even wherever we were in the league, no matter the fact that we're second in the league, you took 4 points off Liverpool in a season, you'd be like, yes, please, we'll take that. 1-1 draw, perhaps not title race, but definitely in the box seat for Champions League. So yeah, chuffed with it.
Yes, it's definitely a mark of how far Forest have come, that they're getting a point at home to Liverpool and potentially could be disappointed with the outcome. Let's say that. Matt, to say it was his team, was the least optimistic of all of us. It went for a 3-0 Liverpool win. Sadly, neither Salah, Núñez or Alexander-Arnold got goals, so no points, Mr. Mo. Andy went for a 3-2 win for Forest, 2 for Wood, 1 for Gibbs-White, 1 for Salah, 1 for Alexander-Arnold, so does get himself a bonus point for the Wood goal. I went for a 2-2 draw, so a point for the draw. Wood, Ilanga, Salah, and Jota. So I get myself 2 bonus points for the 2 goal scorers, along with my point for the draw. Stu had predicted a 1-1 draw with Wood and Diaz to score the goal. So sadly doesn't get the full 4 points, or 5 points as it will be for the bonus. So just has to stick with the 3 points. So that means that Matt ends the week with 2 points from 4 games. Andy, 3 points from 4 games. Myself and Mr. Woodmansey, 6 points each from the respective 4 games. Well done to you, Mr. Woodmansey. Pats on the back across the board. So that's week 20 done and dusted. Week 21 brings with it 5 games. We will be predicting those games very shortly. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, before we predict these games, we're going to do a little bit of transfer roundups, as there may be some new names that get thrown out as potential scorers in some of these games, dare I suggest. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back after this very short break. And just like that, we're back. So I promised you some transfer dealings involving our clubs. I'll leave Borough till the end because sadly they have not had any ins. They have just had 2 outs. So we'll leave the bad news till the end. I think Forest have only signed the 1, and he probably won't play. I imagine he's just in as the sort of the emergency third keeper, isn't he? Is he not?
Yeah, I assume so. Yeah, so Forest have signed Wayne Hennessy till the end of the season. He left at the end of last season, I want to say. Yeah, I think he was released at the end of last season, and obviously has come back in because we technically only have. I think we've got like youth keepers, but I assume that possibly those youth keepers will be going out on loan, or it's a difficult one because you kind of think, right, do we register him because then he takes up a spot in the 25-man squad that you've got? But obviously, yeah, he's been brought in as a like emergency cover kind of thing. So yeah, so so just Wayne Hennessy back in. He did the first 2 seasons at Forest. Was released at the end of last season, but has obviously come back just to help out, I assume. Other than that, nothing.
Just that 1?
Yeah, nothing else. Nothing. Lots of rumours, lots of kind of this, that, and the others, but nothing concrete.
Yeah. So we'll go to Hull. I know for definite there's been 1 through the door that will be a very familiar name to the podcast for people that have been listening from a Middlesbrough perspective. But there is more than the 1, is there not?
Correct. Yeah. Apparently this week we fancied getting a couple through the door nice and early before the end of the month, which is nice. So we'll start with the familiar name, none other than former podcast regular name himself, Mr. Matt Crooks. So I don't know, how does it work? Does that count as half an out for Borough, considering that he's only been gone half a season? I'm not sure. He decided that he didn't want to play football in the UK anymore, and he decided that he wanted to go off to America to live the American dream, and it seems to have lasted for 6 months because, and I quote, he said, "I'm buzzing to finally get it done and excited to get started. I said to my agent I wanted to explore coming back to England and playing over here." Okay. You didn't have to leave in the first place. Nobody forced you out. But yeah, he's back, and he's back for Hull City. So, attacking midfielder officially by designation, I guess. Paul might be able to fill us in a little bit more on that. But it's an interesting signing because my gripe for the last 8 to 10 weeks of the football season has been the fact that we don't really use our midfield we just parade the defence up to the halfway line and then try and pass to the strikers. I'm hoping that this is the start of some sort of rebuild in the middle of the park. They've signed him on a 2.5-year deal, undisclosed fee. I assume because it was paying an American team, it was some form of, I don't know, like Yorkshire tea and like actual real chocolate.
Well, the problem is that I don't know how it works with like the MLS thing, because some players are registered directly with the club, and I'm pretty sure some players are registered with the league. It's proper murky. Like you get all the designated players rules and stuff like that. So it's murky
Well, I think
beyond belief.
it came in when was it whoever signed Beckham when the Galaxy wanted to sign Beckham, and they were like, we just can't afford to pay it within because they have the salary cap like like other American sports, and they're like, yeah, but that he will just basically David Beckham's wage would be the salary cap. So then they introduced like the one foreign player that like is basically like a kind of like a freak show tourist attraction kind of bonus type thing. So we get to sell a shit ton of David Beckham shirts. So therefore we can sign him and cover the money that way. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how many Matt Crooks shirts we've already sold, but I imagine they must be flying off the shelves as we speak.
I imagine his immediate family have been kitted out, and that is the extent of any Matt Crooks shirt. Let me guess. Has he by any chance taken the number 25 shirt?
I don't know, because none of the promo pictures have had him in a printed shirt. It's just been what seems to be the favourite this particular season. Let's stick him in the tunnel where the orange lights are on the walk to the pitch, and we'll take some pictures from one side, from the other side, from squaring in the face. And then they've also got this thing about playing Where's Wally in the stadium for some of the stadium announcements this time around, where they'll put a photograph of like the East stand on socials, and if you zoom into the picture, you can see that there's somebody sat there. But for how good a quality it is, and like how far you've got to zoom in and the display on everybody's phone, it might as well just be me sat there in a City shirt, because you're never going to pick out who it is. But yeah, Matt Crooks was the first one through the door anyway. Go on.
Just to go back to sort of your earlier point, I always thought he was just signed as a midfielder, sort of like probably would end up playing a little bit further forward, but he can do a job as a defensive midfielder. And towards the end of his time at Borough, he was kind of being played as like the false nine, as it were, because they were a bit shorter numbers up top, and he was doing a job up front. I think he was basically just there as a kind of a target man, really, to sort of play the ball long, and he'd sort of hold it up, bring the other guys into play, and stuff like that. He's I wouldn't say he's the best player you'll ever see, but he's got a decent football brain. He'll know what to do and stuff like that. So you can play in a multiple of different positions as well. So, good signing for me.
Yeah, I'm okay with that one. I mean, the next one, we'll see how this develops, shall we? Because it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth right from the off, but we'll get to that. So the second signing, 22-year-old Joe Geldhart, on loan. Watch Andy's face, from Leeds United. Not only has he played for Leeds, he's also played for Sunderland. So there's one in Paul's wheelhouse as well. And he was born in Liverpool, so it's ticking all of the boxes. But having said that, he played 35 times for Leeds. 35 outings of his appearances for Leeds were in the Premier League, netted against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and has been known to score a stoppage time winner or two. So he knows where the net is, seemingly, which now, after all of the recent transfers and goings on, that officially, I think, makes one of them. Possibly two with João Pedro. Sorry, João Pedro. I, I don't know. I think this is a bit of a weird one, this, because he obviously was at Leeds at a time where they were in the Premier League. He then ended up sort of getting ousted from the side by some of their sort of the Routers and the Somervilles and whoever else was in that side at the time. But hasn't really featured regularly. Spent a bit of time on loan at Sunderland, like I say, and now finds himself looking for another club. So we've got him until the end of the season. Be interested to see if he does sort of resurrect some sort of form with us, because God knows we need a goal scorer. If he would like to celebrate, as I said to you boys earlier, if he would like to celebrate his release from Leeds, not having to live in Liverpool anymore, and obviously not having to be part of the Sunderland side, by scoring an absolute shit ton of goals from now until May, that would be cracking. So, thank you very much.
Very nice. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of him. Can't say I was all that thrilled or enthralled with him personally, but you never know. He might not be another Aaron Connolly. He might actually be someone who has the ability to, kick a ball with that thing that hangs at the end of his leg. So,
Did you? Speaking of your old mate, did you see the news on him this week that he's set for go down talks with Sunderland? He's only been there since summer.
exactly. I'd like to say that it's a shame what's happened to him, but you can only surely block your copybook with so many things before you might be the problem. So that's Forest done. Oh, are there any outs, or is it just those two ins?
No, just those two ins for now.
Excellent. So
There are some rumours on the horizon, which may mean that we might not hear Mr. Bedia's name on the podcast quite as much. But if anything gets confirmed, obviously you shall hear it here.
Yes. Biggest rumours. I'll come to the Borough ones in a second, but the biggest rumour of an out potentially at Hull may involve an in at Borough, potentially, which obviously has been discussed on the podcast before. Left back Ryan Giles obviously had a loan spell at Borough 2 seasons ago now, and obviously now finds himself permanently at Hull. There was talk that in the summer he may have been moved straight from Hull to Borough, but nothing ever came of it. And I believe now there are discussions going on, or it's certainly been rumoured that there'd be discussions about a permanent transfer to the Borough.
I'll tell you what, from how he has behaved and played this season, I wouldn't be that disappointed to see him go. Granted, Tim Walter did absolutely shite. There we go. Stick one on the board. He's been mentioned. But Ryan Giles was a pretty big ringleader in making sure that people weren't seemingly pulling the line for the manager at the time. From what I've sort of seen and heard, didn't feature very much in his teams either. So there was always that. Since he's come back, I think he had a slight injury as well, but he can't really get in the side because we've got other players seemingly. Well, put it this way: Matty Jacob, academy prospect from ours at one point, has now broken his way through to the first team. Came into the side over Christmas when we were looking a little bit light, and statistically was given the award for the most valuable left back in the Championship over the Christmas set of fixtures. So, what are you going to do with that? Like, do you know what I mean? No. He was the reason that Molyneux scored in the FA Cup because he couldn't keep hold of his pass that he was receiving. First touch was terrible. So there was talk of, I think we paid 4 million for him when it was the loan to buy thing. They'll be looking to recoup as much of it as they can, but I dare say that he's not exactly done his transfer value any favours since the start of this season.
I think it's a risk as well in the fact that, like, obviously they'll be signing him based off what he did 2 seasons ago in the Reds, and obviously if he's not the same player anymore, are you taking a massive risk? We'll see. Obviously, it's not official yet, so obviously we shouldn't really be discussing it properly, but it certainly looks like it's a possibility. 2 things that are definite, however, is 2 departures from Borough. The first one is, I wouldn't be surprised if any Borough fans had forgotten this guy even existed. So it's a release of a player, Matthew Hoppe, if that's a name that rings a bell for anyone. Yes, the American striker signed in 2022 in the summer, leaves after his contract was cancelled by mutual consent after a whopping 0 goals in 6 first-team appearances. Just never really happened for Mr. Hoppe. I don't really know what to say on that one. Don't think we ever saw anything of him with any sort of gusto or anything like that, and never really did anything, to be honest with you, so can't really comment on it. And the second one is more of a blow to the first team to an extent. Isaiah Jones has left the club and signed for Luton Town in a permanent transfer. It's classed as an undisclosed fee, but I think the rumours that we're doing the rounds whether it can be upwards of 5 million with add-ons and whatnot in the transfer fee based on where Luton finished. So I would imagine that probably will indicate we're not getting that money because, let's be honest, Luton are fucking wank. So he's joined the Hats for an undisclosed fee. He clocked up 149 appearances and scored 13 goals for the club after joining from Tooting and Mitcham in 2019. For a time, obviously he was playing right wing back under Chris Wilder because Jed Spence had obviously been earmarked for that position. Didn't get on with Colin when he was at the club and was sent out on loan to Nottingham Forest for that season. So Isaiah Jones slotted in where Jed Spence would have, kind of made the position his own, and then unfortunately for him, found himself a bit surplus to requirements when Chris Wilder was removed and Michael Carrick came in as Carrick didn't really play the same system. Found himself redeployed as a right winger as opposed to a right wing back, and you could just tell that his confidence had taken a bit of a knock, and he never was quite the same player under Carrick as he was under Wilder. But obviously did well for the club, scored a few goals, and the fact that they managed to get a decent fee for him, I would say, is a positive across the board. One other bit of news was that Sam Silvera has been recalled from his loan at Portsmouth. That didn't seem to go well at all. I think he played a handful of games, didn't seem to go down well with the supporters, and he's been sent back out on loan to Blackpool for the remainder of the season. So he's dropped down a division. Hopefully he'll have a bit more success at that level. So that's the transfer roundup. So that brings us on to week 21's 5 games to go through, the first of which finds itself live on the Sky Telebox, but only if you're a Plus subscriber. Millwall versus Hull City. Mr. Woodmansey's team will give his prediction last. I've gone for a 1-1 draw on this one. Old boy curse or rule, whatever we want to say. Honeyman to score for Millwall and Crooks to get the first of what can hopefully be many in the amber and black. Matt, what have you got down for Millwall versus Hull?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw too. I've gone for Bangura Williams for Millwall. And
Bless you. Bless you, but who did you say as your goal scorer?
Bangura Williams.
Good Lord.
and João
Imagine
Pedro.
having a great surname like Bangura and tacking Williams on the end of it. What a shit name that is.
You've got to
And
keep
they
things
went, wow,
level. It's like it's just a nice little leveler. Hit your hopes, but then just make sure keep them grounded.
A bit like Brereton Diaz, is that what you're saying?
Oh,
Paul?
get fucked. Get fucked with that nonsense. Andrew, what have we got for Millwall versus Hull?
I wish I'd have gone first because I've got 1-1 draw.
Yeah!
I have also got Honeyman to score. However, I have got Hull favourite Badia.
Oh.
He won't even be near the team, Andy, if you want to pick another one.
No, it's fine. He's coming. He's going to score. Everything.
Andy's got the inside track. He knows exactly what Mr.
Well, the manager
Sayers. Yeah, he knows what he's thinking. So we've got 3 1-1 draws. Are we getting a Forest Luton situation where we get all 4 of the same results?
Well, yeah, but we all got the score right, so why not? I have actually got 1-1 on the book.
Oh!
I'm going to go for Slater on the basis of he's missed so many goals and he scores generally in games that need a bit of an edge to him. So I'll take Slater to score against Millwall. However, as we've predicted, a slate of Juan, I have to go for SA to score for Millwall.
Do you sit when you're sort of like doing your work, let's say, and do they just come to you and you think, oh, I must write that down?
No, like genuinely, I've literally just thought of that as we were all going through because I didn't know you'd all predicted 1-1 as well.
Well, que pasa? Our second game of the week sees Portsmouth taking on my team, Middlesbrough. Now, sadly, this one is not live on the Sky Sports Telebox, on Plus or otherwise, because it's a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. There's my team. I will give my prediction last. Let's go to Matt for his prediction on Pompey versus the Borough.
That's exactly how it's written in my book as well. I've gone for a 2-0 Borough win.
Ooh.
Bergzorg and Doak.
Lovely jubbly. Andy?
Yeah, very similar to Matt, but I've got Latte and Bergzorg.
Latte, Bergzorg. Potentially could have discussed this in the transfer section. Rumours of a bid being made for Latte from Atlanta United. Strange. Until something concrete comes in, of course, won't really go through with it. But watch this space. Stu?
I've got Portsmouth 0, Middlesbrough 1 with Azaz to score.
Lovely jubbly. I, too, have got a Middlesbrough win. I've gone 2-1. I've got Bishop to score for Pompey. Azaz and McGree to score for the Borough. Our third game of the week takes us to Sunday and sees Nottingham Forest taking on bottom of the table Southampton. Obviously, it's Mr. Mo's team. He will give his prediction last. I'll jump in. I've gone for a nice, straightforward 3-0 Nottingham Forest win with a goal apiece for Wood, Ilanga and Hudson-Odoi. Andy, what have you got down for Forest versus the Saints?
2-0 to the Forest. Woods and Gibbs-White.
Simple, clean, gets the job done. Stu?
I have a 2-0. I have a Gibbs-White. But fortunately for the YouTube viewers, I do not have Wood. I've gone for Ilanga.
No No, that's incorrect, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. It is just the way the camera is positioned. He does not have Wood. Go on then, Matt. How do you see this one panning out? And are you buying into this hype that Southampton could eclipse the all-time record low points scored by your beloved Derby County?
I was like, I'm hoping not. You know, we need to keep Derby in that kind of situation. But I'm hoping Forest don't contribute to that points total. So I've gone for a Forest 3-1 win. I've gone for Wood, Anderson, and a Wonyi. I'm hoping that Forest will be at a decent score, get some people some rest. I've just gone for a friend of the podcast, Cameron Archer, to score for Southampton.
Of course. Do you know what? We've all forgotten the first rule of the podcast. Old boy. I mean, he probably won't get anyone in the team, but old Ward Prowse to score for Forest should have been the banker.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think he'll play, so it's a moot point anyway. Our fourth game of the week, once again, live on the Sky Sports Telebox, if you've got the plus section, sees Hull City taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Will we be in attendance?
I will be. As it's a school night, I shall be. I was going to say flying solo, but I'm assuming Mr. Walker will be in the midst as well.
You'll be Sans boys. So,
correct.
Yes. So Mr. Woodmansey's team, he will give his prediction at last. Let's go to Andy first off the bat, because he was disappointed when we didn't come to him first for the previous Hull game.
Just a clean 1-0 win to Hull. And as he's absolutely got no chance of scoring, get him in the score lineup. Kamara.
Ooh.
He's not getting it done at the Saints. He's getting it done for Hull.
Matt, what have you got down for Hull versus QPR?
I've gone for a 2-1 Hull win. Couple of newish boys. I've gone one for Burstow and one for, is it Gelhardt? And then 3 for QPR.
I, too, have gone for a 2-1 Hull City win. I've gone for a goal apiece from Slater and Kamara with Chair, although I've heard a couple of commentators call him Shia on certain podcasts, on certain games. But
were they mid stroke whilst they were pronouncing it as well?
Aye.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Good Lord.
Tried to say his name, had a stroke.
Don't really know what to do with that information, gents. So we'll move on swiftly. How do you see it panning out, Mr. Woodmansey?
I also have a 2-1 Hull win.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a mixture of you guys. I've gone for Pedro. I've gone for Geldhardt to get off the mark, and I have gone for Chair, because every time we play QPR and every time we're on this podcast, I say about how he always scores against us, and I'm pretty sure I've got no points off this prediction yet, so long may that continue.
And very fittingly, last game of the week is the Williams household derby as Middlesbrough take on West Bromwich Albion. I'm saying this as I stare into the eyes of my loving wife, who has her headphones in so as to not be able to hear the nonsense that's spewing from my mouth as we speak.
All the time.
Obviously, my team. Therefore, I will give my prediction last. Let's go back to Stu. What's Stu got down for Borough versus the Baggies?
Unfortunately for you, Paul, as the old saying goes, happy wife, happy life. I have got a West Brom 1-0 win with Grant to score the goal.
Shit. Sorry, I had a terrible cough there. But
I
I
thought you
could
were
have
just
sworn
telling
I
me
heard
to
you
cough.
say. I could have sworn I heard you say a 1-0 home win. But we don't have anyone called Grant that plays for the Borough, so I've had to put it down as a 1-0 West Brom win.
Thank you.
Matthew?
I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
Ooh, goals galore. Very nice.
I mean, this might all change if they get Sean Dyche in the place, because apparently he's in the running to be manager at West Brom. So, but I've gone for a 2-2 draw at the moment. Bar, Laser, and Azaz for Borough, and Yanga, and Grant for West Brom. Obviously, Josh Maja is out. He was first on the list.
Mr. Cook?
I'll Borough down to 2-0.
Oh, botch.
I've got Azaz to score, and I'll keep predicting him. One day he might get a goal. Hamilton.
He would need to play games to be able to score. He would. He did get. To be fair, he did get a start in the cup. And the fact that they've sold Isaiah Jones does mean that if Ben Doak doesn't play, they do have a need for the right wing to be filled. And with Marcus Forss only just coming back to fitness, Micah Hamilton probably would be the most sensible person to play out there.
Even if Forss was fit, he could still play him, to be fair.
This that just leaves me to finish off the podcast. And I haven't gone optimistic because I don't think we will get a good result here, as we seem to massively be struggling at home at the moment. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw, and that is optimistic. A goal apiece for Doak, and of course, Old Boy rules in effect, even though he only played about 10 games on loan. Mowat to score for West Brom. Does seem to be doing quite well since he's gone back there after he had his loan spell from the Borough a couple of seasons ago. So, that is the end of the predictions. Does anyone have anything they would like to bring to the table, or is that it for another week? Oh, yes, Matthew.
I don't think we mentioned it last week. I think I held off it because the player of the month, manager of the month, goal of the month, and save of the month was all for the Premier League, was all kind of announced just before the podcast, and then the winners were announced just afterwards. So Nuno brought in his second manager of the month award, and the save of the month for December was Martinez against Forest over Christmas. Of course, they left out, obviously fantastic save, left out the fact that he then proceeded to carry the ball over his line for the Forest equaliser later on. So Forest involved in two of the of the months kind of things. Just those two things. That was it.
And as a bonus, the manager didn't come with the usual curse that it brings with it. They didn't lose against Liverpool.
We played the FA Cup before, so maybe that absorbed the curse.
Yeah, that's true. But they didn't lose against Liverpool, which is weird because early in the season, Liverpool did lose against Nottingham. I don't think we've mentioned that podcast actually.
I mean, 4 points off them now. Yeah, 4 points off them this season.
Strange that. So yes, thank you. That brings us to the end of once again another week here on the Football Podcast. A thank you, as always, to these three wonderful gentlemen for joining myself to go through the details of their clubs. If this is your first time listening to the podcast here, welcome. Thanks for listening. You might have enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, why not subscribe to the channel? You can listen to us every single week. Of course, it's not just a football podcast we have here. We have the weekly NFL podcast that we bring to you, where we discuss the goings on in the NFL. Obviously, we're into the post-season now, so that one will start to wind down in the next couple of weeks. But whilst it's still playoffs, it's still very much ongoing. If wrestling is in your particular wheelhouse, we have a monthly WWE roundup. where we go discuss the goings on and do our predictions for the upcoming premium live event that's in play. And then, of course, Mr. Cook, once a week, likes to unload the things going on in his brain on the Darkest Timeline podcast. So, plenty to be getting your teeth into on the network. That's it for the week for us. Join us again next week where we'll go through those results that we just predicted and we'll have some more predictions for you and hopefully some more transfer news. But as for now, thank you very much once again for listening. Take care of yourselves, keep an eye out for each other, and we will see you all next week. Tatty bye for now.
So there you go, what do you think of that? Another one done, another set of games gone, another set of games to come. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.